Hello guys, it's Taylor. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. If you are new here, I just adopted another kitten and he is so needy and he wants to be held right now, so he might make some appearances in this video. Anyways, it is June, which means we're officially halfway through 2023, which is literally crazy, but as you can tell by the title and my extremely bare looking bookshelves right now, we're doing every book I've read so far this year, and so I have about 70 something books in front of me on my desk right now. They came off my shelves, so my shelves just look so empty. But we're gonna go over all the books I read this year and make this a little bit different because I do, for the most part, do a monthly wrap up every single month where I kind of go in detail about if I liked a book, what it's about, etc. I'm just gonna literally simply say what I read, what I rated it, and then yes or no if I would recommend it. So obviously when I say no, just a little disclaimer, that just means I personally wouldn't want to read it again, so I'm gonna say no as in I wouldn't recommend it. I'm not saying it's a horrible book or people wouldn't like it, but like this is just kind of like my personal, would I read it again, yes or no? So that's kind of how we're gonna rate that. But yeah, we have about 73 books I think I read so far this year, some of them being Kindle, most of them being physical copy, and let's get into this. Starting off with the first book I read this year was on my Kindle. It's King of Wrath by Ana Huang. I rated this at 3 stars, and this is like a maybe. I think I'm gonna add like a yes, no, maybe. So maybe is like, I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. Like I feel like a lot of people do love it though, so like I guess I would recommend it. Next is Do Not Disturb by Freida McFadden. I rated this at 3 stars. I would recommend it. I love all of her thrillers. I think I just rate like the ones that were like okay a 3 star, and then the ones that were like crazy good a 4 and a 5 star. First physical book of the year, maybe not. This is in the Colleen Hoover series. I rate this at 2 stars, and I would not recommend this book or that series. Then we have The Locked Door by Freida McFadden. I rated this one at 4 stars, and I would recommend. Hooked by Emily McIntyre. I rated this at 4 stars, and I would recommend this one. Does It Her by H.D. Carlton. 4 stars. Yes, I would recommend if you're into dark romance. This is like the first book I read that was like a little darker. Love. Tell Me Lies. I rated this at 5 stars, and I would recommend if you like toxic relationship type books, Block and Chair. What? Blair and Chuck type vibes. The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson. 4 stars, and yes, I would recommend. Birthday Kisses is the duet after a million kisses in your lifetime. I rated this at 3 stars. I would recommend it if you were really obsessed with that book, but if not, it was like kind of just like a bonus epilogue type thing. Things We Leave Unfinished, 5-star read, and I would 100% recommend this to literally everyone. Binding 13, 4 stars, absolutely would recommend. This is Keeping 13, I grabbed the wrong one, but they have the same cover, so. Permanent Record, 2 stars, and I probably wouldn't really recommend this one. Okay, then Keeping 13, I didn't grab it, but it has the same cover, and I rated that one 4.5 stars, and I 100% would recommend. Overall, this series is a 5-star for me, but each book kind of like, some of them are like better than the others, so. Better Than the Movies, 3.75 stars, and I would recommend if you like cute little YA books. The Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Mariana Zapata, 3.5 stars. I would only recommend if you like slow burns, because if not, this would be painful. Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid, 5 stars, and I would 100% recommend, but you have to listen to this as an audiobook, please. Haunting and Hunting Adeline, Cat and Mouse duet, H.D. Carlton, 5-star series, literally one of my favorite reads so far this year. I would 100% recommend, but again, only if you like dark stuff. You really need to check the trigger warnings because this type of stuff can get very scary. Sweet Dandelion by Michaela Smeltzer, 1.5 stars, and I would not recommend this. We Deserve Each Other by Sarah Hoggle, 3.5 stars, and I would recommend. Heartless, which is the second book in the Chestnut Spring series by Althea Silver, 4.5 stars, absolutely would recommend, and I read them out of order, as you can tell. So that was the first one that I read. The Flat Chair by Beth O'Leary, 4.25 stars, and I would definitely recommend. The Soulmate Equation by Christina Lauren. I actually ended up selling my physical copy of it because I really just did not like it. I gave it like a 1.75 stars, and I personally wouldn't recommend, but I don't like books that have to do with like sciencey type stuff. Like I didn't like The Life Hypothesis either, so. I Know Who You Are by Alice Feeney, 4 stars, and I would recommend every thriller by her, so. Carrie Soto Is Back by TJR. I gave this a 4.75 stars, and I 100% would recommend this one as well. If We Were Villains, I gave this a 3 stars. This is like a maybe. I don't know if I'd really recommend this one. His and Hers by Alice Feeney. I gave this a 3. Not my favorite from her, but I still recommend all of her thrillers. Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris. I gave this a 4 stars and I would recommend. Then I read Flawless, which is the first book in the Chestnut Spring series, 4 stars. Loved it and would recommend. By a Thrive, Lucy Score, 4.5 stars. Absolutely loved and would definitely recommend. My favorite Lucy Score book I've read so far. Things We Hide from the Light by Lucy Score, 3.75 stars and I would recommend. Brutal Prince, Sophie Lark, 4.5 stars, 100% would recommend. X's and O's by Amy Lee, 4 stars and would definitely recommend this one as well. On Earth But Briefly Gorgeous, I gave this a 3 stars. I might recommend this depending on people's like reading style, because this is very different from like the typical books that I read and recommend on my channel. So I don't know if my typical audience would love it. Tomorrow, 3 stars. I guess I would recommend because it's super popular, but I personally didn't like love it. So this is like a maybe. Again, it kind of depends on who's asking. Turn of the Key, 3.5 stars by Ruth Ware. I would recommend. Christina Higgins, Pack Up the Moon, 3 stars and I would recommend if you like sad books. Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez, 4.25 stars and I would recommend every single one of her books, but love. Then we have Saving Six. This is the 3rd book in the Boys of Tommen series. I rated this a 4.75 stars. Before We Were Strangers by Renee Carlino. My friend is borrowing my copy right now. I gave this a 4.5 stars and I would definitely recommend. Crave, I gave this 3 stars by Tracy Wolff and I would recommend if you like YA and if you like Twilight, you would like this series. Then we have Crush by Tracy Wolff, 2nd book in the series, 3.5 stars, same thing. The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, 2 stars, not my personal favorite, so I probably wouldn't really recommend this book. The Hunting Wives by May Cobb, 4 stars, and I would recommend. Dial A for Aunties, Jessie Sutanto, maybe? Give this like a 3.5 stars, I might recommend. One of Us Is Lying by Karen McManus, 1 star, and would not recommend. An Anonymous Girl by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekatine, if that's how you say it. I gave this a 4 stars and I would recommend. Then we have Once Upon a Broken Heart and The Ballad of Never After. I gave this one a 4.75 and this one a 5 stars. I would 100% recommend this and I cannot wait for the 3rd book. Stolen Air by Sophie Lark, 4.75. I would recommend this whole series. 28 Summers, Ellen Hildebrand, 3 stars. I don't really think I'd recommend this. Savage Lover, Sophie Lark, 3rd book in the series, 4 stars. And I would recommend. Underneath the Sycamore Tree, Be Celeste, 4 stars. And I would recommend if you have tissues and a therapist. Twisted Lies, Anna Huang, 4th book in the series. I give it a 4.5 stars. And I would recommend. Full Tilt by Emma Scott, 3 stars. And I would recommend if you have a therapist. The Housemaid's Secret, it's the 2nd book in Freida McFadden's Little Duet, 4 stars, and I'd 100% recommend. The Wife Who Knew Too Much, Michelle Campbell, it's like a 2.75 stars. I probably wouldn't really recommend. Out of all the thrillers I read, not the best. People We Met on Vacation, Emily Henry, 2 stars, and I probably wouldn't recommend. Promises and Pomegranates, Sav R. Miller, 2 stars, and I would not recommend. You Me Everything, Catherine Isaac, 3 stars, and I would recommend. Maybe Another Life, Taylor Jenkins Reid, 5 stars, and I would 100% recommend. The Edge of Never by J.A. Bruddermisky, 1 star, I would not recommend. Beach Read, Emily Henry, 4 stars, and would recommend. The Mistake, Elle Kennedy, the 2nd book in the Off-Campus series, 2 stars, and I personally would not recommend. Happy Place, Emily Henry, 4 stars, and 100% would recommend this one. You Shouldn't Have Come Here, Geneva Rose, 4 stars, and would recommend. Yours Truly, Abby Jimenez, 5 stars, my favorite book, and would definitely recommend. When in Rome by Sarah Adams, 2.75 stars. I would recommend it, kind of, but I also didn't like love it, so. Mary Jane by Jessica Blau. I'm like butchering all these names. 3 stars, and would recommend. Meet Me at the Lake, Carly Fortune, 2 stars. I would not recommend. Float by Kate Marchant. Oh god. 4 stars, I would recommend. The Summer of Broken Rules by Kea Walter, 4.5 stars, and would recommend. The Summer We Fell by Elizabeth O'Rourke, 5 stars, and would 100% recommend. And lastly, The Falling by Anna Todd, 2 stars, and would not recommend. Alrighty guys, that is all the books I've read so far in 2023. This has been a great year. I've had so many like 5-star rates that I loved. But I'm really out of breath from this video, and it's also my finals week for my summer classes. I was studying for my practice exam. Like I just feel like I've been so busy that I haven't been able to like read that much, and it's making me upset. But I wanted to get this video up for you guys because I've been watching all my favorite booktubers post it, and it's so fun to see like what we've read so far this year. And I'm already so like farther ahead book wise this year than I was last year, but always remember, it doesn't matter if you read 1 book or 800 books a year. Reading is great, it's fun, it's a hobby, it's exciting, and it shouldn't be a competition, or like you shouldn't feel bad about reading more or less than somebody else. So I am gonna go have to clean out my whole entire book room now, so that will be really fun. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to follow me over my Bookstagram and my Booktube, and I'll see you guys in the next one.